Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, one of my favorite Tekken players of all time, one of the goats of North America, and one of the best Dragunov players in the world, Fear of Silence. How are you
Yo,
doing?
what's going on, everybody? Thank you for allowing me to be on the podcast, bro. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So, yeah, let's get right into it. So, how did you first get into Tekken? Like on Wikipedia and stuff, it says like your earliest competition is in Tekken 7, generally. So were you playing before that? Did you start with Tekken 7? Like, how'd you get into it?
So I would say I started learning about the game, Tekken itself, in Tekken 7.
Hmm.
I always had Tekken in my house. But Tekken for me prior to 7 was like having Smash in the house. So if you had
Okay.
Smash or anything in the house, a few friends come over, someone talks some type of mess, we turn it on, and that's basically how it worked out.
Uh-huh.
I used to hate Tekken. I used to hate Tekken so much because I didn't know anything about frame data or anything.
Hmm.
And my first character was actually Law.
Oh,
So I
okay.
would use like these flip kicks and all these moves, and then I'm getting hit, and I just used to get angry. I used to rage. I used to like, I'm blocking. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So I always thought the game was bad. So
That's fair. That's
um,
fair.
lo and behold, it was a skill issue. Um, so Tag One, I think it's the first game that I ever played Tekken related. Um, and then I just always had some form of Tekken in the house, but I didn't know anything about it. It was around. I remember losing to one of my friends at my house, and Tekken 7 was announced, and then I started
Hmm.
looking up videos on YouTube. And then I saw Level Up Your Game videos, and Eris had like a huge guide on like Dragunov
Okay.
at that point in time. Um, and basically, I was tired of losing to my friends. So that's how that got. I guess that's what drew me into it, especially with 7. And then what kind of super sold me is after I started looking up Tekken videos, obviously I started getting recommendations of Tekken videos, and they showed me Nobi's, like he did a 10-hit combo and canceled it and broke the balcony at Evo.
Okay.
Um, and I was kind of like super sold
On
on,
Dragunov there.
yeah, from there. I was like, okay, I might play drag. But yeah, my first character ever was Law,
Hmm.
and Tag One was technically my first Tekken, but my friends were terrible. They used to gatekeep the command lists from me. They said
I'm
if I
not
use the
telling you what
command list,
move.
I'm cheating. I'm like, well, I was Tag One, I was 5, so
Hmm.
I never looked at the command list until Tekken 7. So I think that's when I started.
Okay, so you started taking it seriously in Tekken 7.
Yeah, so I
Um,
started to play online and all these other things. And
mhm,
then offline to go to a tournament was my first tournament was 2019 for sure.
mhm.
So that is basically what got me into it. And then I guess I can tell you, like when I first went offline, I had a big ego.
Okay.
So uh online first year's season 1 of Tekken, I made Genbu, and that was supposed to be like the thing, right? If you
Hmm.
made Genbu, you're one of the best players. And then I didn't go offline at the time because I didn't know it existed. Um, and then 2019 season 2 comes out. I make TGP, so I'm like, I'm Tekken God Prime. I'm about to win this whole tournament. I'm not worried about anybody. I went 3-2. I got cooked.
Damn.
There was 90 people there too. Um, and I remember texting my friends, I'm never going back.
Damn.
um,
Hanging it up real quick.
I was just like, it ain't worth it. I just lost $20. What just happened?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I only went back to the locals that year, only when like somebody from out of state pulled up for like dojo points.
Hmm.
So Arslan came, Kudon, JDCR, and Saint, I think are the four people that went to New York that year.
Okay.
So I went to the local every single time for those. And I could never crack top eight in that point in time. And then COVID happened, and then I like went through some super hyperbolic time chamber buff, and then I couldn't lose a local unless Ty was there. So it was either me and Ty and Grants most of the time. Actually, the
Really?
first local back, I lost to B Rich. But
Okay.
other than that, it was usually just me and Ty and Grants every time.
So during COVID, you just like locked in and you grinded the shit out of the game. Yes, like
There was nothing else to do.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's fair.
uh,
That's fair.
I live in Vegas now, but one of the things that I was teasing the Vegas people about um, is that I'm turning 29 November 24th.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm not really 29 though. I lost 2 years to COVID. And they're like, that doesn't make sense. I was just like, look, the strip reopened for you guys in like 3 weeks. I didn't see outside in New York for so long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that is like my cope for aging.
Just talking about I guess COVID. So maybe but I'm from New Jersey, so I'm pretty close to 20 minutes. I remember seeing New York completely cut
Empty.
off.
Times Square was
Like
just like, oh man.
yeah, I got like a bunch of family that lives like over in Manhattan and stuff, and like yeah, just seeing like all the stuff. I guess it is. There's nothing to do but grind Tekken if that's what you're into.
So and it's when everything kind of blew up for me too. I think the game blew up. ICFC was just huge at that time. Um, and everybody was home, so we were all talking or getting on a play.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I guess if
um,
everyone's on playing against each other constantly, you're all like making each other better as you go too.
yeah, so I think that's like the biggest, I guess, the era that I really like transformed and stuff like that. And I think that's goes into the decision on how like I decided to go pro later on
Okay.
because um before any of that, I never been on a plane. I
Oh.
never really traveled outside of New York. And then House, he runs NYC Tekken.
Hmm.
Um, and another man named Stan, he's the Love and Care Cleaners sponsorship that I have.
Hmm.
Um, basically, they allowed me to go to like San Francisco at one point, and then that was the first time I got on a plane in 2021. And then the first out of state tournament, I would like to say that wasn't like any of the Big E tournaments that used to happen, like Summer Jam, because I could just drive or take a bus or something.
Hmm.
Um, was Red Bull Kumite 2021. That was the first tournament.
Okay.
So
Nice. And do you? I guess if that was your first time traveling to like other places, were you ever like surprised at like either the level or lack of level of talent in these other places? Like you're like, wow, it's like I'm playing a completely different game, or you still kind of
um
at home just like beating the shit out of people.
so this kind of like I guess insider joke slash meme that my friends and I came up with is early on when I started traveling, I could never really play up to what I thought what my potential was.
Hmm.
But if you played me in casuals, I was beating everybody.
Yeah.
So jokingly, like I'll lose in tournament, maybe get upset by an opponent, and then I'll play a ton of casuals with like international players, and just I'll either win the sets or I'll just float around. It'll be pretty even.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'll ask for advice after, and they're just like, "You want advice? You're good." So
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, dang, okay, thank you." So like, um, they used to say like if I lose in tournament, they'll be like, "Oh, they're not beating casual fear though. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, I think that was the biggest thing. that I like kind of took away from traveling, just in general. I think in fighting games, even to this day, um, something about fighting games brings out literal like personal things or personal battles that you might be facing and like the
Mhm.
heat of the moment in competition because it's just you by yourself. So if you're like an anxious individual or anything like that, it gets really heightened in those tournament sets. And you have to kind of build a relationship with your competitive self to kind of have your calm, your nerves, everything kind of work together to pretty much put yourself in a position where you can succeed. I
Mhm.
think early on, I guess that's what they describe as experience. You need experience.
Yeah.
Because when you go into it, your heart rate's a little higher, your mind's racing, your thought process feels a little bit more limited.
Mhm.
So I think going into that early traveling, I think that was like the biggest thing. That was just like, okay, I'm not quote unquote playing like myself. Why? And those were the big hurdles and jumps that I had to kind of overcome.
Mhm. I mean, well, obviously you've overcome it. You've got like Tekken World Tour finalists, like as of recent and stuff. Like, um, really, like obviously you've overcome that, and I guess how what would you say is like your process of overcoming it? Would it be like you sit down and you're like assess like okay, what did I like I guess like VOD review, but that doesn't really talk about your decision making. Like, do you have like a pre-game ritual or something like that that you go through to kind of get yourself in the zone?
I would say I don't have anything pre-game ritual wise. I just need caffeine, like 100% for sure. Um, but I think like the biggest thing that I can take away from it is in my sets, during my sets, I'm not usually telling myself what's going on. So predominantly what my mindset is during the set is not even gameplay focused or game related.
Mhm.
It's telling myself most of the time, like my inner speech needs to just be positive. Like I'm okay. Okay, that was just a round. Um, and I kind of have my voice be basically the only thing that I'm hearing.
Mhm.
Um, and then from there, as long as I can keep myself in check, my nerves and everything, take a deep breath, water, breathing, then I take the next steps to maybe kind of recollect what's going on with in some of my moves, the information that I've gathered subconsciously.
Mhm.
I try to let that be like the main focus each set. It doesn't matter if it's my first match in pools, or it can be grand finals in a tournament.
Mhm.
The whole thing can go off the rails if I'm not okay. So
Yeah.
predominantly every single time, it's just I need to be completely. It's kind of like I baby myself in some form of fashion. Like it's okay, you don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
just treat
yeah.
myself in that way. Um, and that is kind of how I've been rewarded the best. When I'm telling myself like, "Oh, I'm gonna lose," or "That was I'm ass," or something of that
Mhm.
nature. Um, I tend to fall into a thought process that isn't beneficial, or it feels a little bit more heightened, the nerves, then it starts to take over. So
Yeah.
my inner speech is the biggest thing that I learned to kind of keep that all in check.
Mhm.
Um, and that is, as long as you make the main thing the main thing, don't be afraid of losing. I think that's a bigger thing as well. Like there's like, oh, I'm about to lose, I'm about to lose. Like it's 100% round one to round three, final round, 2-0 in this is just I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what to do. You've been in this situation before. So you just kind of like I always like kind of give myself reassurance throughout the set.
Mhm.
That's how basically I feel like that's how my first year kind of for Tekken 8 kind of like I just exploded and I won a lot of tournaments. Obviously
Mhm.
Dragunov was insane. Still
Yeah.
is. Uh but I wasn't even using like some of the broken stuff like
UCF4.
my QCF4 hatchet was +7.
It grounded too. That shit was
Yeah,
fun.
so I remember because Joey Joey's like my was my main traveling partner for a while.
Okay.
And then we're at Electric Clash, and if you see his Dragunov, because he picked their Dragunov for that tournament, and if you look at my Dragunov that I ended up getting second, I'm playing Tekken 7 still.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not doing really any full crouch lows. I'm not doing any my friend Booster Blast, he lives in Canada. He was making fun of me because I did hatchet on hit and to duck under a jab into while standing four. And he's just like, "You're a +7, bro. What are
Yeah.
you doing?" Uh, and then at that point, it kind of just took off from there because I guess obviously it's my main character, so a lot of the stuff just felt natural. It felt much harder to actually incorporate some of the Tekken 8 stuff
Hmm.
as the season went on. And I think it was more important to do such. And I think that's why I think my play fell off towards the end.
Hmm.
Um, but that was kind of where I really made sure to always keep myself in check and calm and stuff like that because the expectations got higher and higher every time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, well, I've never been here before, but in reality, it's the same game I turn on every single day. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how I had to view it. And then ended up being such a successful year.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I guess now that we talked a little bit about Dragunov, and you mentioned this before, like that you saw Nobi do like a 10 hit cancel into like wall break. Um, is that like the sole reason you picked up Dragunov? Like you're just like, that's cool, that's what I'm doing. Because
It
in
was
Tekken
not
7, Drag was like not that he wasn't good, but he definitely like if you look at Tekken 7 Drag next to Tekken 8 Drag, you're like, how the hell did we play this guy in Tekken 7? You know? Um,
so it wasn't the sole reason I picked drag. I think like anybody else, you find something in the move list and then you're like, yo, this guy's cool as hell.
mhm.
So for me, it was the 1+2 throw and the tackle into the 1+2. So
Okay.
when it was just like, I felt that in my soul, like whatever anger I had, I felt it using those moves. And an old back 1+2. I'm not a big fan of the back 1+2 in season two, Tekken 8, but the old back 1+2 into the stomp,
Mhm.
those felt
That's
like
tough.
impactful.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the bigger reasons. Um, Also, one of my friends named Nick, he also told me that I might be a good character for me at that point in time. Um, but that I would say those two throws kind of sold me into it. I'm glad I didn't run into Marduk because I probably would have played Marduk.
Oh no.
Uh,
That's who I played in
but
Tekken 7 a lot.
um, but I think at the end of the day, um, the throws and the lows, which is basically my game plan and fighting game in Tekken.
That
I
too. Forever.
I thought it was just like he was the perfect character for me. Season one, Tekken 7, he was great, but I was also learning the game, so I didn't know what was happening at the point in time. Um, but every season after that, I think there was a stretch in season three where he got like this new combo route, but they nerfed it immediately. I always thought Drag was like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of went and just said that he's not good anymore because he was top five for sure for one season, and then before after that, I don't think he ever reached that glory again.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't say anything because it obviously made my story a little bit
Yeah,
better.
downplay, downplay, downplay. Of course.
But I never ever looked at the character and viewed him as weak. I think the only time I decided to try something different was a little bit towards that last year of Tekken 7. Um, I started using Fang because Fang was so ridiculous at that point in time.
Yeah.
And Joey Fury kind of recommended to like at least experiment, try it. And I did try it and I ended up losing to JJ Breeze and Pools at CEO. And then I was on stream the next match versus my friend KIS.
Okay.
And I looked terrible. Like everything, I was just overthinking everything with Fang because that wasn't my natural character.
Yeah, yeah.
So I lose the first game. I said this enough, and I just switched back to drag. At that point in time, I realized like I appreciate the skill it takes to kind of be like switching from top tier to top tier. I
Mhm.
think that gets a lot of flack, but it's actually way harder than I like you actually think it is to
Yeah, to
be as
play
optimized.
as yeah, a maximum efficiency on multiple characters.
Yeah. So there's like a little bit of a trade-off when you do that. Like you obviously there's some situational awareness and things like that that you do not get if you switch,
Mhm.
but the character's power level kind of erases that or sometimes erases that. So you need to find the top tier that works for you, basically. So when you like, I see like Arslan Ash get a lot of flack, things like that, but
Yeah.
it's actually much more difficult than just sticking it out with your main, I think. But
Yeah.
I feel like the easier thing is to stick it out with your main, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So
So, like with the release of Tekken 8 and stuff, and I guess the evolving meta and player base, meta being like the couple characters that are like absolutely busted. But how has the how has like the whole scene changed since you started? Like, I mean, I guess like Tekken 8 is more aggressive than Tekken 7, but like, do you think the player base has changed? The competitive, maybe not, maybe competitive integrity has changed or anything?
I think
Throughout.
for sure, I think even just going back to how I was just talking about top tiers and things like that, I think in Tekken 8, in Tekken 7, I think it was completely normal to see someone play. I think Tekken 7 was out from 2015 all the way to maybe 2023, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Um, they probably played the same character in tournament the entire 8 years if it was there or present.
Hmm.
Um, it was very rare you see too much switch off. I think Arslan was the only one that really went from like Zafina and then it was like Kunimitsu and things like that.
Hmm.
Other than that, I think CBM went from Jin to Noctis. There wasn't too much like variation compared to like Tekken 8, where if you look at the first Evo Japan, Chikarin's playing on pad using Lily.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah, yeah.
even that is just like, huh? What? That's not what we're used to. I'm not saying that Chikarin wasn't known to switch around because he used Geese. I think he picked up Akuma and won TWT finals,
Hmm.
but it was such a to switch the controller you play on to everything for a specific game. Um, I think that is like one of the early signs of how certain things changed. But I do think it's a little bit more comfortable for players to transition to different characters. I feel like also Tekken 8 obviously makes it a little bit easier with the accessibility.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
so with that part being there, I think that's like one of the bigger things that changed from in the meta and in the player base is this finding that character that you're comfortable with or switching around, seeing how it works out for you. I think is a lot more like normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think another thing that kind of I feel like Tekken 7 did a way better job for some reason. I think Tekken 8 started with it fine, but my issue with I think the community is we've been so negative about Tekken 8 that is kind of scaring some of the audience away
Yeah.
or some anyone that's new
100%.
trying to come in. Like it's one thing I go on. I have like a set timer for Twitter now because I don't even want to absorb. I feel like the conversations that are had are just so repetitive,
Yeah.
just saying complaints every time.
Mhm.
Um, but Tekken 7 definitely had way more new players, young players that we're all in our mid 20s now. But
Yeah, yeah.
when I started, it was just like everyone was just turning either into an adult or like basically we just finished high school and then COVID happened or something. Like it
Mhm.
was a lot of new young bloods.
Mhm.
Um, but now I can name probably off the top of like on my hand how many like quote unquote new kids that we got introduced into the game.
Mhm.
Um, and they got good so fast and the rate that they got good at was so fast, but um I just think we didn't do a good job as a community, kind of trying to still make this place feel as welcoming as it did in Tekken 7.
Hmm.
Um, I think there was an appreciation for Tekken 7, especially after coming from Tag 2, and there wasn't that much, I think,
Yeah.
probably a similar situation.
Hmm.
I'm ignorant into whatever Tag 2 was, but numbers wise, it just seemed like it was a much smaller thing.
Hmm.
And Tekken wasn't a priority in a lot of fighting game spaces.
Yeah.
Um, so Tekken 7 doing that, I think there was just an appreciation for it, even though I think every fighting game, there's something to complain about. 2Ds was a huge thing for Tekken 7.
Yeah. Akuma,
But
Geese, those guys.
yeah, so, and that was kind of most of the things that people complained about. I think a lot of people still complain like rage drives and things like that. But it wasn't as like bad as I think it is now. And it's not like I'm saying it's undeserved. I think season
Yeah.
two was a
Catastrophic.
big yeah. All right, so I'm not like trying to defend Namco or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
more so um, just I do one of the things that stuck with me is I spoke to my friend Signia, and he's like a really top ex Soul Calibur player.
Okay.
And he was just kind of like expressing, we were just talking about how, because the numbers started dwindling down at the locals and things like that. People were unhappy with season two. And he was just like, at least you have a game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I guess that's fair.
you know,
When's the last time you heard about Soul Calibur?
I was just like, that was perspective changing. Another thing that was perspective changing is just realizing how much of an impact I think the complaining and all that has had on the community,
Hmm.
where a lot of people who don't share the same issues or the same problems or anything like that are just kind of piggybacking off what is said on Twitter and things like that. And season one, I had Strive players, I had Smash Ultimate players asking me, "Hey, how do I get better at Tekken?" And
Hmm.
there was like there was a draw to it. And then season two, I haven't had any of that too much until Armor King came out. To be honest, that's the only time it's been happening.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So that's kind of like I think if there's like where do you see it heading? I'm hoping it's in a better direction. I think overall the direction it heads, it's not so too much relied on. I don't. I pray that it doesn't get more worse than what season two was. All
surely it
right,
can't
so
get worse. Surely
we'll
it
see.
can't get
Right,
worse.
if I'll come back to this interview and laugh. Season three, um, but overall, if we, the community, want the game to head in a better direction, I think it starts with us.
Hmm.
Just still, if you're around, if you're not around, by all means, you can walk away, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
But I feel like there's people who haven't turned on a game in like 2 months, 3 months,
They
still
still
saying the same
complaining.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, there's people who actually do enjoy Tekken 8. I think there's people who actually sit down and just like are happy to turn on the game. I don't think they're happy to turn on social media though. So like, um, I think that's where we decide where the game will head if the voices were a little bit more positive. So you could see more professionals. They'll tell you like, oh, Namco has them in their pockets or something like that. And it has nothing to do with that. It
Yeah.
just does not help at the end of the day. I think we've all let out our grievances in terms of what has happened and transpired with season two.
Hmm.
Um, but we have to let kind of the things take course.
Hmm.
But if we're still reciting the same thing over and over and over again, I think that's just more commonplace in fighting games in general. Because I will go on my feed and I'll see it about Grand Blue, and I'm like, I don't even follow anybody in Grand Blue. Why am I
Yeah.
seeing things like this? Um, so I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, um, I think it could still head in a great direction. I still think our numbers from what I've seen so far, it still has the opportunity. We're still pulling like 200 people for TNS.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think Tekken itself is going anywhere. And then Armor King has greatly increased like the numbers by like 1,000 people are
Oh
playing
yeah.
more frequent now. So, and he's cool. He's one of the coolest characters. Let me not say he's cool like generically. He's one of the coolest characters. So,
100%.
um, I think while Miari Zoo is going to be a little polarizing and people are going to start complaining again eventually, just be not even off of anything. It's just she's on a pole or something,
Yeah, yeah.
and
People are gonna be like,
someone's low
why
is going
does
to
she have a
miss, and that's
weapon?
going to be T8 report, yada yada yada. Instead of like you're literally trying to sit there and understand anything. I
Mhm.
think, but I think she will attract a huge amount as well. And then by that time, that window from Miari Zoo to like February,
Mhm.
it's on Namco at that point though.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on Namco.
Gotta
I
lock
do
in.
think the biggest positive thing that I saw is that a lot of people love AK because Arbor King feels like himself,
Mhm.
right? So hopefully that's the feedback that they got. Instead of anything else that has been written 1,000 times on Twitter. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, hey, this character allows me to play neutral, run around, and do things. Like
Yeah.
this is something that we want back. So that is the message. We'll see what happens. So
So like, talking about how like, yeah, Armor King has had great reception because one of like DLC characters like that feels bearable. Like I'd say like him and Heihachi are probably like the two like greatest DLCs in terms of like design. They're cool, not overpowered. They have some silly stuff, but it doesn't. If you had to pick like one character for them to be maybe not the strongest is the word, but like if like a character's power level was like the baseline for everybody, like everyone was at that tier, who do you think you would pick?
ooh, baseline. That is so there's this argument and discussion around the community. Basically, everyone is like S tier, right?
Yeah,
And then there's like a few that stand out, like Anna, Asuka, um, or just I'll just stay with those two.
sure.
Like they stand out. Hmm, the baseline. Um,
Or I guess like if you had to knock everybody down to like one character's level, like who would that be?
I am deep in thought. I'm trying to like not be biased. Um, hmm, one character. Trying to think. I think if there's a level that I would like to see people at, it would be. I am thinking.
It's
I
okay
would
to
say
say
Shaheen.
Dragunov. Shaheen?
Yeah, I would say drag as well, but I would ask that they need to nerf some of the tracking on jabs in the entire
Sure.
game. I think Dragunov gets really far mileage with 1-2 just randomly tracking to his left
Yeah, yeah.
and
Homing one two
one two
one.
one. Yeah, 1-2-1, 1-2-1. So like that is still that's where I think it's a little bit. I think Shaheen's really good as a character, and he used to get a lot of flack for saying like he has no like sauce or swag or anything in Seven. And I think he's like super cool in this game. I think he doesn't get enough love.
Mhm.
But I do honestly think that character is still outside of like having a traditional 50-50 with the slide mix and things like that. You have to kind of play the game. You have all the tools necessary to win, but you have to use those tools correctly.
Mhm.
Um, he used to be really obnoxious with the guard break
Yeah.
and heat. Um,
Yep.
so I would not suggest that in any form or fashion, but I feel like everything else about his gameplay is pretty cool and pretty relaxed and normal. Predominantly, the issue that a lot of people have versus Shaheen is that they don't know
What
they
he
don't remember the
does.
last time they played
Yeah, yeah.
Shaheen, so they don't know what he does. But I would say Shaheen for sure. I think it's like maybe the base level at the power level that I would like. Um, because at the end of the day, I don't think his damage is completely outrageous. I don't think his mix is completely outrageous. Um, and then on top of that, he has abilities and tools to navigate neutral in a way where if you get stepped or outplayed in those situations, or they get a good timing read and things like that,
Hmm.
he's rewarded, and you don't sit there and like, oh, he just went under my mid or anything. You don't have that kind of thought process around it, and I don't think you ever get hit with like anything significant like Brian, for example. Brian has like a million counter hit buttons. It doesn't
Half
matter
the move
which.
list.
Yeah, half the move list kind of launches you. You lose half your health, and then you can't tech roll if the player is good,
Hmm.
or it's an unblockable
Yeah,
into
yeah,
another
like
move, right?
taunt heat smashes in the game and nonsense like that.
So I think that part as well is like really significant that Shaheen doesn't have that either. Um, his counter hits lead to usually him going into heat.
Yeah,
Um, which is I thought the general direction that they were heading with their original release of Tekken 8, because Magic Fours got slower, or you had to commit,
yeah,
or they didn't give a full combo or things like that. Um, and then most counter hit buttons ended up just being like that stun animation that gives you
like plus
the free
14
heat. Yeah.
heat or something.
So everyone was kind of excited for that direction because obviously heat is this overpowered state, but it wasn't a full, like we sacrificed basically a full combo to go into this state that hopefully you can defend against. It hasn't been the case too much, but that was kind of the whole idea behind it. I still think Shaheen does that, and I still think that's not actually a bad idea.
Okay, nice. I think honestly that is not one of the characters that I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say like Armor King or like one of the. But I could respect the Shaheen pick. I'm sure a lot of people
I
would probably disagree because you see one Shaheen every year, but
I probably is a small opinion. I think I'm the minority in that, but I do think there's always this talk about like what if you're like for the Mishimas, right? Execution. If your execution's 100%, there's no way you're sitting there and saying like a 13 frame plus 5 on block launcher that you can kind of just toss out is
yeah,
um so I think the thing that holds Mishima players back is just the nature of the beast when it comes to execution. I think the characters are pretty good, especially Kazuya and Heat is pretty good. Heihachi is definitely strong, and then if you get into boss mode,
it's over. It's over. Safe hell sweep.
so I think that, and then Devil Jin's weird. I don't know. Devil Jin is very weird. I don't know. All Devil Jin players want honestly is like his small Tekken back, his DF1s, his old DF1 and things like that.
Hmm.
But they made him such a like there's a reliance to hell sweeping.
Hmm.
Um, so I wouldn't recommend those three just for those probably three reasons right there.
Yeah.
And then Armor King, I might be I'm not in a believer that he's like this fair character just yet.
Really?
I'm not there just yet. I think
What
if
cheese
you
do you
lose,
think he has?
I think for sure he has this new string 432,
Yep.
and if that hits you, he's plus 15 going into stance. And since they changed the input for 1+2 throws to be up forward 1+2,
Yeah.
he can do a 1+2 throw, or he can do a completely ambiguous chain throw out of that situation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that situation alone just makes it completely impossible to be corrected in that situation.
Yeah. I guess that's fair.
There's still some small stuff that obviously, thankfully, he has because he would not be able to hold his own in this game if he didn't have anything that was crazy. Um, but for me personally, the jury's still out, so I'm not using it just yet.
Okay. That's fair. I guess my last question for you would be what advice would you give to like a new Tekken player? If they're just getting into it, maybe trying to be a competitor. Um, like maybe even someone like me. I've played in a couple tournaments. I play a lot of the game, but like, what would you say is like the biggest thing to think about?
Um, I think the biggest thing that I get from Tekken players these days that are fairly new and they like transition into becoming like tournament players,
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing is that their highs and lows, they don't know how to deal with it too well. It's just like, oh, I got top eight. So now I just got to keep getting top eight. And I'm just like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, even the best players fall. Like,
All right. So I think for sure, the growth period for Tekken 8, if you end up crossing that barrier where I don't want to use online ranks because it's kind of inflated in some form or fashion, but
mhm,
I'll use like God of Destruction, God 1,
true.
and you're competing with some of the best in the world. Let's just say that, or you had like a good TNS run. My advice is, um, one, just to stay even keeled. You can't go too high, you can't go too low. I think one of the biggest issues that I see from just American Tekken players in general, um, they'll beat someone from Japan or international of some form of fashion, screenshot it, post it, and then that person that they beat in bracket outplaced them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Like they'll make a little
you
bracket
were the big
run.
bracket bomb. That was amazing. Like I'm not trying to sell your success short, and you have to take the little wins here and there. I'm not saying you shouldn't,
Hmm.
but if every international player took a screenshot of every American player that they have
It wouldn't
beat,
even be close.
all right. So I just think sometimes their mind just needs to be in a different place where if you're a competitor, um, you're going to have a ton of up and down. So you're going to be successful for a stretch. People are going to figure out who you are. And then people are going to start preparing specifically for you.
Hmm.
Um, and you're going to have to change your gameplay up. You're going to have to change your how you treat certain things. And a lot of people base a lot of their results on these online tournaments. And there's just so much volatility, not only within the game, but with connection. The
Yeah.
net code is not the best. So I would tell any new player that gets into like a hobby, into a tournament competitor, the pitfall to not fall into is basically like if you get a good result, enjoy it. I'm not saying don't enjoy it, but there's keep in mind that Takedo, for an example, was like top eight at Evo Japan. I think he lost in pools in Evo Vegas and got
Hmm.
like 257th or something like that. Your results, there's some luck involved, I
Yeah.
think, in general.
Hmm.
So the best thing that you can do is just keep trying to stay in a lane where you're improving, understanding where like some of the losses are coming from, but not to take in the tournament results, even though it's like the test for you, um, too like serious. Like, oh, I didn't get top eight this time. I guess I got worse. I'm trash, this and
Hmm.
that. When that's not the case. And also, I think the other advice I'll say is like go to the tournament, accept like basically always try to give yourself that chance to have that run because majority of the time that's what it is. It's like and not everyone can put in 8 to 10 hours playing the game. That's kind of where Arslan Ash is, Low High, and all these guys. This is their career. They live off of it.
Yeah.
The chances of you doing that in America are very, very, very slim. um, but I will also tell them to like obviously enjoy it because usually at that point in time in your 20s, for me, I spent my 20s doing this because I never got to see the world, but I ended up going to Bolivia, Japan like 3 times, Amsterdam, all these places that I never even thought or dreamt of
Hmm.
going to. I went to because of Tekken. So there's a lot of beautiful stuff that you can get from this, even if you're not consistently placing.
Hmm.
Um, but the idea is to always try to give yourself that chance for that run. And if that run didn't happen, it's not generally always like your fault
Yeah.
or you're in a rut or you hit a wall or anything like that. It's just the nature of the beast at this point in time. And it also, it's a competition. These competitors are trying just as hard as you are. It's not going to be always like an uphill. The progress is going to be up and down 100% of the time. There's going to be days where you're not 100%. Actually, one of the best advices I got from Anakin, um, he was kind of expressing to me that you're 100% is not always going to be there, but your 70% needs to be better than this person's 100% if you want to consistently win in tournaments. You can't always like predict how you're going to be feeling. Um, did you sleep well when you went into the hotel? Flight delays, jet lag. There's so much factors that are part of competing offline, at least, um, that you can't always control how you feel, how you're going to play, and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but the biggest thing, in my opinion, is just like accepting the good with the bad. Don't get too crazy high on certain success, and just kind of always keep working at it. I think that's the best thing about Tekken or any fighting game in general. It feels endless, in
For
terms
sure, for
of
sure.
progress, how you can improve. No one sitting here, even Arslan, I'm pretty sure, saying that they solved this game. There's no answer to solving it. It
Yeah.
is one of the best things about fighting games in general. You invest your 60, $70. I don't even, whatever games cost these days now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, whatever the DLC is, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, and then you're kind of good for the year if you really are like a competitor. Like you kind of don't need to gravitate to too much stuff. I would also recommend to gravitate to other things, so you don't get burnt out. But
Yeah.
usually, from what I've seen, it's like new player will like just grasp and like they get completely taken over by the game, and all the information about it. And they think that they constantly have to plug away at everything every single time. And I'm like, dude, I'm on like year 8.
Yeah.
I'm still chopping at it. Like there's things. It's the beauty of it that you have to enjoy. Like that you're constantly learning. I
Hmm.
think that's the fun part. So that would be kind of the advice that I'll give to someone who's starting to go into tournament competitions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. This is really like an honor for me, with you being one of my favorite players. Is there anything that you would like to plug or anything that you got coming up that you want the viewers to know about?
Um, I don't think there's anything that I need to plug. If you want to follow me on Twitter or if you have any Tekken questions, I'm usually an open book. I always try to express that like I make a joke and say leave some room for me being light skinned because I respond pretty late sometimes. Um, but if there's ever like a Tekken question, I usually actually get to it and I'll answer it as best as I can. You can't be, some guy, I'm gonna just say like Billy Bob 59 or something like that, and say, "Hey, Fear, how do I get better at Tekken?" I can't.
That's
That's
not
too
a
generic.
yeah.
But like, if you have anything more so, like with some type of information or maybe a VOD or something, I do coaching, and stuff like that. So, um, and I finally got a working PC. Um,
Nice.
so I would plug that in there. You can follow me at Twitter at Fear Silence 3. And then for streaming, I think it's just Fear Silence underscore. I'm pretty inconsistent on the streaming side. I need to do a little bit better than that. But if
All
you
good.
want to see me play some of the best in America, I usually play Speed Kicks, Glaciating, um, Anakin, etc. I used to play Ty and Joey all the time, but now it's coast to coast. So
Yeah,
um, I am streaming at Fear Silence underscore. So those are to be the things that I'll plug and go to your locals.
of course. Support your locals. What keeps the game alive. But
I also want to say thank you for having me, also asking me to be a part of this. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm sorry that there was a little hiccups in trying to get this scheduled and
no,
going.
you're good.
Um, but I do really do appreciate you asking me to be a part of this.
Of course, of course.